Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Today on CityCast Las Vegas, we reflect on the legacy of Elaine Wynn, the trailblazing casino executive and philanthropist who passed away this month. I'm talking to Alan Feldman, a gaming industry veteran who knew Elaine well, and we'll reflect on what it takes to become Las Vegas royalty. It's Wednesday, April 30th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Before we get started, this is week 2, our final week of our membership campaign. I mean, you've heard us talk about a lot of different benefits of the CityCast Las Vegas Neighbor program, but there's one that's particularly special. It's called Neighborhood Shoutouts, and it's basically this. When you're a member, you get to submit a local business you love or a nonprofit doing great work to better the city, and we'll shout it out on the podcast in the Hey Las Vegas newsletter. I want to shout out the Coffee Class. It's like my local coffee shop here in Henderson. I just find the staff to always be so kind. They do a lot of charitable work, and their pastries and vegan pastries are absolutely slamming. So shout out to the Coffee Class. Listen, it's that simple. That could be your favorite business or not-for-profit. We want this show to shine a light on what makes the city great. And as a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor, you can help us do that. To become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor, go to membership.citycast.fm and sign up. It's $10 a month or $100 a year, and it allows us to keep this show going. That's membership.citycast.fm, and thanks. Alan, you are a gaming industry veteran, as they say. You've been involved in many aspects of the industry here in Vegas. How did you come to know Elaine?
Elaine was one of the very first people that I met in Las Vegas. In September of 1989, the PR firm I worked for in Los Angeles was asked to come to Las Vegas and meet with Steve and Elaine Wynn at Golden Nugget Inc. to talk about this new hotel that they were getting ready to open called the Mirage. And so, to be perfectly honest, I went a little bit against my will. I didn't really care for Las Vegas very much at that point in my life. Grew up in Southern California and grew up in pretty modest circumstances. And so when my parents would come to Las Vegas, which wasn't with great frequency, but relatively regularly once a year, but we weren't staying in the suites on the Strip. We were in these little single corridor motels along the Strip. And I didn't find the place to be particularly enjoyable. And then we fly over on that Wednesday and we meet with Steve and Elaine. And I thought we were meeting for lunch. That's what I was told. It turned into a 6-hour meeting.
Wow.
And I can tell you that between the two of them, Elaine was the one who stood out instantly as someone who was grounded, who had a very clear strategic vision. I don't mean that Steve didn't, but his vision was really about the property. Elaine's vision was about Las Vegas. And I found that just absolutely dynamic because yes, he was describing a hotel that didn't exist before. She was describing a city that wasn't here. And the idea that these two things could be interrelated and have impact on one another was really, really compelling. Months later, after the hotel opened, Elaine reached out and asked if I'd consider moving to Las Vegas and joining the company, which I did in March of 1990. So Elaine was a really critical part of my introduction, my indoctrination, and my involvement in the community in Las Vegas.
Do you feel that we're living in Elaine Wynn's Las Vegas now?
I don't know that we're there yet. I don't think that Elaine would think that we're there yet. We still have all kinds of things to improve, but we're certainly living in a city that reflects her values and her ideals in a way that it was different than it was 35 years ago. before there were names for them, before we labeled anything as corporate social responsibility or DEI or whatever you want to label it. In her mind, it was just the fundamental way in which you treat people. And, while the rest of the world, I remember well, was thinking of diversity as in what we used to call the EEO reports, the reports that broke down ethnicity in your employee base, et cetera, et cetera. Her version of diversity was diversity of thinking, diversity of perspective, diversity of experience. She wanted people around the table who brought all kinds of different points of view into a discussion to make it a more vibrant and hopefully productive outcome. And that was it was startling because it was such a different approach to the way in which things were being done at the time. And, I think the evolution of the city, and certainly the evolution of the industry for certain, is profoundly impacted by her vision and her values that she brought into this discussion early on.
So Elaine Pascal's from New York, and she became Elaine Wynn, essentially Las Vegas royalty. And as you're framing it, a woman who has shaped the city of the last 35 years. How did that happen? How did her and Steve meet? And how did she transition into the space where she was so influential?
Well, she and Steve met on a blind date.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was just a sort of a confluence of things. Their parents knew one another. They had sort of neighboring tourist experiences at the Fontainebleau in Miami. So they got together on this blind date and they stayed together. And after they got married, Steve's father unfortunately passed away very, very young and left behind quite a mountain of debt. But he did have a bingo operation that the family owned in Maryland. And so Steve and Elaine for a few years ran that operation until they paid off all the debts. And at some point thereafter, they moved to Las Vegas in the very late 60s with both of their young girls at the time. I remember Elaine talking about the two car seats in the back seat. They did not move here with great wealth. They did not move here necessarily, I think, with the specific idea that they were going to leave the kind of lasting impact on the city that they did. But they certainly both had an enormous creative drive and an enormous ability to understand the world strategically. And so they came here and started to build a life. They invested a very small amount, a very, very modest amount in what was then the Frontier Hotel. And then came a series of transactions involving the late, great Perry Thomas, the Mormon banker, who so famously was our first banker to ever actually engage with the gaming industry. And after a couple of real estate transactions, Steve had enough money to buy into and eventually take control over Golden Nugget Incorporated, which at the time was a pretty dusty Western casino and small hotel downtown. And he slowly, with Elaine, began to transform that into the epitome of what luxury in a downtown environment could look like. And they began to add, they began to remodel, they added a spa tower, they added suites that were remarkable, these 2-story suites. To my knowledge, the first of their kind in this market. Now it's pretty common to see them around town, but my gosh, to do that 40 years ago and to do it downtown was pretty amazing. And they just kept at it. I think from there, sometimes I think we tend to look back on history with these major moments that occur and these major earth-shaking things that occur. But, the reality is it's probably over time a series of a lot of steps, a lot of, incremental moments that happen. And they started to build their look, their feel, their way of welcoming guests, their way of treating employees, all started at the Golden Nugget. Then came the Mirage, and with it, an even larger canvas upon which to create this vision of what a Las Vegas hotel casino could actually be.
And built from the ground up, built from their ideas alone. I mean, the
Absolutely.
lesson learned for me is, gentlemen, if you're listening, say yes to that blind date. You could meet yourself in Elaine Wynn, Do you think she has had a bigger influence on the look and the feel of the modern Strip than she's really given credit for?
Absolutely. Of all the people we think of as the founding fathers of Las Vegas, including, I was incredibly blessed to work for a couple of these folks, Steve Wynn, Kirk Kerkorian.
But fathers being the key word there, and that credit given to the equal amount of women who were present, right?
If you don't include Elaine in this pantheon, you're missing it. You're missing it in a really big way. Steve had the power of his personality to drive forward the idea of the Mirage, especially to Wall Street, who was very, very, very skeptical. But the Mirage's success was built upon a core value system of both how you treat your employees and how you treat your guests. And, even Steve recognized that. I remember that prior to the opening, we did a series of sort of town halls, if you will, for employees. And Steve often said in those meetings, it's not the volcano. It's not the tigers. It's not Siegfried and Roy. It's not the aquarium. It's not the rainforest. It's you. You are what is going to be the deciding factor for folks in how they make decisions and where to stay, and in the decision to return again. It's going to come down to all of us working together. Those things are nice, but please know the building is going to fail. And it did. I mean, on opening day, it was absolute bedlam because nothing worked. Ran out of change. I mean, this is back in the days when you used to put coins in machines. Ran out of change. There was no more change to pass out. All kinds of stuff broke down. We don't need to go into all of it. The point is that I think we were better prepared because the culture of the place was to focus on making employees feel comfortable in order that they can, in turn, help guests to feel comfortable. It's a very important strategic part of the way in which the gaming industry does business. And that fundamentally comes straight from Elaine.
Ready to win Mother's Day as the best gift giver in the family? Give the moms in your life an Aura digital picture frame preloaded with decades of family photos. Aura frames, they've been named the best digital photo frame by Wirecutter, and it is easy to see why. We love ours with its unlimited storage, and it is so simple to set up. I did it on my phone, and it took less than 2 minutes. My significant other and I started uploading silly photos of each other to our Aura, and we wait for the other person to notice. I just popped up this morning in the world's ugliest Mardi Gras mask. It brought back so many fun memories, but my turn is coming up. So if you want in on the fun, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. For a limited time, listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's auraframes.com, promo code CityCast. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Sarah Lohman. If you love CityCast Las Vegas, I've got a great way for you to get even more out of it. Become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor. Neighbor is the new name for the CityCast Las Vegas membership program. When you become a neighbor, you're supporting our work and unlocking benefits that make being a part of this amazing city even more fun. Like access to our exclusive member-only events, insider tours, outdoor meetups, and happy hours with other neighbors who love Las Vegas like you do. Plus, every Monday, we'll send you an exclusive curated list of the best things happening in town, so you're always in the know. You'll also get ad-free episodes and a special feed, a thank you on air, and even a chance to shout out your favorite local business or nonprofit. Oh, and if you join this week, we'll send you a coffee mug. It's got our brand new CityCast Las Vegas neighbor logo on it. That's our way of saying thanks and, making our morning chats feel even more neighborly. So head over to membership.citycast.fm today to become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor. That's membership.citycast.fm. Hey, reminder, we're in our spring membership campaign, and we've got some critical goals passed down by the big people up top. We need to sign up 15 new members today to stay on track for our goal. Can you help us? We know it's doable, and frankly, we're competing against Salt Lake City and Portland. We're coming for you, Portland. You can show your support and get access to great perks and the most neighborly coffee mug you've ever seen when you sign up at membership.citycast.fm. Alan, you already sort of mentioned her emphasis on bringing a diversity of perspectives to the boardroom table. I mean, she's also credited with bringing more women into the C-suite of the gaming industry, which really was this men's club and still is to a certain extent. Can you tell me about her influence there?
I like so many other aspects of her work. It was profound. She absolutely believed that more women should be involved in the running of places up and down the Strip, in the boardrooms of all of the public companies up and down the Strip. She really saw this as a fundamental need for the industry to thrive and survive. This was not about a do-good, we really ought to have more women because won't that look good? This was about understanding that women bring a different perspective. Younger people bring a different perspective. Older people bring a different perspective. People of various cultural and ethnic backgrounds bring different perspectives. If Las Vegas was going to live out its promise, which was to be the entertainment and leisure capital of the world, then it had to reflect a variety of different points of view and cultural points of view. And the only way to do that was to start to expand the type of person who was being looked at to run properties, run major departments, and sit on boards. And Elaine had an incredibly profound impact on that, and that's not going anywhere. Hopefully that's going to continue long into the future, and we'll continue to see some of the extraordinary women who are already doing these things continue to do so and continue to grow and thrive.
You've already mentioned some of Elaine and Steve's up and downs, too. In 2015, Elaine was ousted from the board of Wynn Resorts, and this was right around the time that some of Steve Wynn's infidelities and sexual misconduct was coming to light. So can you tell us how that period of her life shaped her?
Well, it certainly tested her mettle. I think that anyone in that very public spotlight who has to face issues as disturbing as the ones that were uncovered at that time. I mean, it would be hard enough to do it in private, let alone having to do this all very publicly. But Elaine had a strength of character that was singular. She could withstand and continue to carry on through the worst of the storms. And this was certainly one of them. And she did it with an incredible grace and an incredible elegance and a very strategic plan right from the get-go, which was to not give up, to not just take the money or take the stock or both, but rather to say, she was part of the founding of that company, of Wynn Resorts. That's her name on it, too. It may be his signature, but it's her name. And she wasn't just going to walk away and allow it to falter. And at that moment, as he resigned and there was complete disarray on the board, it looked like it was going to be taken over by someone. It looked like it was going to be subsumed into something else. And that's not what she wanted for it. And it's not what she felt was going to be in the best interest, certainly of shareholders, but also of the employees who, in effect, are shareholders. And so she fought, but did so in a way that didn't bring it all out in public, even though what was in public was pretty ugly and disquieting, and it was. But she held her own throughout all of that and held her head high through all of it, and ended up coming out the other side and saving the company. I mean, literally saving the company, completely transforming the board, bringing people on who were trusted hands, who were, great partners, and not just, beyond saving the company, it comes out the other end much stronger than it had been.
And Wynn is also known for her charitable work and her charitable donations. How did her work in a not-for-profit space have an impact on Vegas?
Wow. You could almost ask, how did it not have an impact on Las Vegas at every level? I mean, one of the things about philanthropy, as I've been reflecting on this since her passing, and of course, she is referred to as a philanthropist, but really she was so much more than that. A philanthropist can be someone who simply has a checkbook, and they write checks, and maybe they put their name on something, and they're a great philanthropist. Elaine was engaged. Elaine was purposeful and intentional. The charitable giving that she made was for a specific purpose. Whether that purpose was to increase educational opportunities for kids across, not just here in the Las Vegas Valley, but across the state, whether it was to enhance the culture by funding the educational program at the Smith Center, by more recently creating a landmark gift to the Las Vegas Museum of Art. What she would do was to be very, very purposeful and very strategic in her giving. And she also didn't write the check and go away. She wrote the check and stayed in touch. She wrote the check and spoke to the CEOs, spoke to the executive directors, wanted to understand not just how they were spending the money. That was sort of part of the preamble to even getting it, was the knowledge you were going to spend it responsibly. But what were the outcomes? How's it working? If you thought that this program was going to be successful, was it? What didn't work? And what can be done? She didn't just abandon someone because it didn't work first time out.
Let's talk about that, because she was one of the greatest champions of our up-and-coming art museum. Do you think this project is going to be stalled without her?
No, I think it's going to exist because of her. And I think that her very specific desire to see this as a centerpiece of the Las Vegas community is going to be embraced, already has been embraced by many, many others. I think that it's important to recognize that Las Vegas is one of, if not the largest metropolitan area in the United States that does not have an accredited art museum. And that is an incredible deficiency in our community. And Elaine recognized that, and she was very focused on making certain that was going to be successful. Her gift there really secures its ability not just to exist, but to thrive.
What kind of void is Elaine's loss going to leave in Vegas? And are there other leaders ready to step up and take her place?
Well, here's the good news. As sad as we are at this moment, Elaine knew that that was going to come, that at some point this day would come. And I think that part of her legacy is all of those of us who had the great privilege of knowing her and working with her and being affected by her. And the good news is she taught a lot of us. There are dozens of people, folks like Poonam Mather and Elizabeth Blau, and on and on and on. I'm only going to stop there because we're going to end up spending all our time with names. These are folks who are already themselves leaving an imprint on the city and on the community, and who will continue to do so in very, very large part because of the lessons that Elaine taught us.
Alan, thank you so much. I think this is such a lovely tribute to her memory, and I appreciate your time today.
Well, it's been fun reflecting on her and her impact, and I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Hey, it's time to shout out the CityCast Las Vegas neighbors that recently joined. Hey, if you join, we'll shout out your name and praise you too. So big thanks to Sam Yu and Mariah C. Thanks, buddies. Thanks, neighbors. We're so glad you're here. And if you haven't joined yet, we invite you to become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We're going to send you a neighbors-only coffee mug as a special welcome gift. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm. That's all for today here in CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed our show, why not tell a friend? Rate our show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.